Ring, ring, ring. It is me, the girl who never showers. Welcome back.
Where the fuck did that come from?
Whoa, I forgot Hero Simpson Virgins.
God fucking damn it.
And welcome back to Cross Magical Productions. Burdurption Cave.
The Burdurption Cave is back as Bitcoin retests the lows, even making a little bit of a new lower low on that good old Wickolo right there. And then the bounce of glory for the Boolaws, as I feel like absolute shit today. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because we got plenty of very important things to be coming up on price action today, obviously. And so I want to make sure that I do this the right justice that it deserves. And I want to also say a massive and good heartfelt thank you and welcome for all the people joining in right now. We already have 1,000 people watching and the video has just barely begun. Holy fuck, man, it's going to be a big day. I can already tell. 257 likes on the video as well, which is insane. Again, major appreciation for that. The community here incredibly generous and I have absolute gratitude for that as well. So let me just make sure that I can see everything that's going on. I see Mr. Nimbo, Mr. Filson, Mr. African Crypto Warlord, our lovely moderation squad, of which I think we also have Mr. Dodgymon and Rocky G as well. Yes, I see them. Excellent. What's up, fellas? Good morning to you. And Nikki Page, there she is. Good morning to everyone out there in cryptocurrency land. I do see Charles Chronicles. I haven't seen your name here before, but hey, nice alliteration. Very fun to say. And good morning to you, man, and good to meet you as well. Who else do we have here? Philosophian, another beautiful name to be saying. Anonymous, and of course, Jack Gassman. I see everyone right now. Mr. T, good morning to you as well. Crypto Raiders, huh? Crypto Raiders, the new Axie Infinity. Sounds like a shill, but you know what? Doesn't matter, man. I like the Raiders, not the Crypto Raiders. I don't know fuck about that, but the Oakland Raiders, or I guess they changed their name now to, well, fuck the Las Vegas Raiders, man. No, none of that. No, we'll have none of that right now, and we need to get prepared for a nice big day to come. And what's up, Edwin's Generation? I see you there with a nice little check mark. Beautiful Harold Ours. What's up, man, as well? Chris Biolo, Herp the Derp. That would definitely help the old channel out there. But you know what, man? I think that we just passed 150,000 subscribers, which is insane. So I think that's good enough, man. We can stop right there. This place was never supposed to get that big. I mean, shit, man. I was blown away when this place even got past like 10,000 subscribers. So you can just imagine my surprise. It's like, it's not even real anymore. It's not real is what it is. So anyways, good morning to everyone out there. I'm going to polish off a little bit more of this coffee and then we need to get deep and down and dirty into these charts today because there's plenty that's actually happened in the last 24 hours. And I do believe that things are, once again, fun because there's just new things going on each and every day, which is obviously what we like as traders. And for the investors out there, well, I salute you because because fuck all that, man. Oakland represent. Hey, man, you're from Oakland? Nice, man. I actually grew up around there, so pretty damn cool watching the Raiders as a kid and the A's and all that good stuff. Fun times, man. Fun times indeed in that shitty stadium, but holy shit, good memories as well. I actually have a good amount of coffee left today as well. So maybe just one more sippy sip and then we'll save the rest for later. Get a little bit more fuel to ride this stream out and then we'll get on with it. Okay, there we go. Alrighty, so where do I want to start this one off? Okay, yes, we're actually going to start today off on price action. Here we have Bitcoin versus the dollar, of course, on actually CME. And in this case, I want to follow up on the last 24 hours when we last spoke, of which we did say a likely another sweep of the lows plus a bounce with targets back up towards the short and medium term time frame range highs, which is that mid $43,000 number. So far, we've got the sweep of the lows, even a little bit of a lower low right here. And now we do see Bitcoin actually putting up a bit of volume on those lows, which is what we want to see on what should be, at least a good medium term time frame low, working its way up and hopefully given the first bounce that we've seen in quite some time, realistically since late December, of course. So with that in mind, when you do see something like this, yes, I do think that we're pretty damn close here. At minimum for a bit of a medium-term low. That does not imply that we have a long-term low in place. We're going to talk about the conditions necessary for that soon enough. But first and foremost, let's go down to the lower-term timeframes right around here. And I do believe that we are building up, and we've now thus confirmed bullish divergence on all timeframes up to certainly a 4-hour. I believe it's all the way up to a 6-hour now as well. Yes, indeed it is. And a 12-hour is also populating itself right here between this point from our December 6 lows and this low right here. I think it's a little more visible than what we see on, of course, spot price action as well, which would actually have 3 drives, 1, 2, 3 coming off the low right there. And also, I do believe that we have a trend line test officially now of the weekly here on the weekly RSI for Bitcoin, which would be coming in right at the edge of the bearish control zone. So a likely place to bounce as we do kind of head into this region. I'm going to turn off the alerts for right now. Apologies on that. And so I do look at this as an area, as an area that regardless of whether you're bullish or bearish, you're probably looking for a bit of a bouncy bounce from this regions. Now going into here on spot price action, we actually do see, yes, it's actually fully confirmed on spot price action, which is really, really good. And then we do also do see on the Jewel Light, which by the way, you can find a link in the description below, which that indicator will actually be expiring. It'll be vanishing within a couple, I think 2 to 3 weeks now. Yeah, probably like 3 weeks or something like that. Anyways, you'll have a bit of a warning on it. And yes, we do see it getting yet again another upside curvature on the 4-hour, which is good. And I think the 12-hour and the daily are starting to finally turn as well from very, 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 very low levels, might I add. Here's your 12-hour, and yes, here's your daily as well. The daily, by the way, has not been this low basically since November 2019, which was coming off of the major lows right around here before, about a 60% run. And I do believe there are a few other iterations where we do see this of the same sort of stature, of which we could just briefly go over them. One of them being, of course, the December 2018 lows at 3,100 right here. And then, of course, we did see it again, I think somewhere around the flu dump lows in March 2020. Yes, somewhere right around there. So again, it doesn't necessarily mean that we have like the macro low in, for example. Obviously, a lot more things need to happen to essentially confirm that sort of a narrative. But for right now, I do think that we have a nice low in and probably do work our way up sideways and up from here. Now, that does come with an invalidation condition. As always, there is a non-zero probability that things just fail as they typically can. And for right now, there are a few things to be aware of right here that do represent the short-term bearish side. Now, I don't think that these will be playing out, but hey, I do think that I would be remiss to not identify these. And I would be first and foremost, 4-hour hidden bearish divergence is populating itself right here as we are making ever so slightly higher highs on 4-hour RSI, and thus so far still have lower highs on price action. Now, that'll be completely negated with any sort of a closure back above this last 9th of January high right here, which is about on a closing basis. Let me just double check, 42,700. And yes, if that is taken out, I would be looking for Bitcoin to pop back up and test somewhere around our medium-term time frame range highs, which actually will have a lot of meaning. That being the 43,700-ish region, the same areas that we've been looking at for the past few days here. So all of this does hold to a lot of weight. Now, what would make me negate all this and look for that hidden bearish divergence to play out with another retest below $40,000, probably somewhere around 38 to 38,500? Well, in this case, because we do have this nice structure right here, any sort of a closing lower low, even on an hourly at this case, because this is, a high volume dildo right there, which should hold weight for the general trend, is going to be below yesterday's low, essentially. Now, could you front run a situation like that? Yep, absolutely. I do believe a 4-hour also below about 40,500 would do it for me as well. One of those two scenarios would be good enough, and well, I would be looking for essentially continuation to the downside, somewhere around 38,000 to 38,500-ish region with another bounce implied there. Then I want to come back to it after that. Now, here's also the other thing, and I do want to kind of pull like a bit of a thread through this whole analysis. Before we get that, I should probably go over this as well. Yeah, we should go over this. So we also do see daily stochastic momentum officially turning up for the first time since basically late December, and that was the run that did bring Bitcoin back up to the range highs at $52,000. And now you can see that it is crossing up for the first time officially, also based off of this 9.5 read right here on this green horizontal line, which has accurately gotten some pretty impressive lows in the past, but not always major lows. Sometimes they have failed, but at least they have produced some pretty impressive bounces. And in this case right here, this will be remaining with upside posturing as long as Bitcoin is closed above 40,350 or so. I believe the 12-hour is certainly already there. Indeed it is, and that is building up above it about 40,850. So still so far so good. 6 hours also, I believe, heading up. Indeed it is, 41,250. And then shorter term time frame should be in a bit more of a corrective posturing, I'm going to guess. Actually, no, 4-hour is also freshly up above 41,300, and hourly is probably flip-flop right here. Yes, indeed, it's actually quite high and will be turning down for 42,250 or so. So very, 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 very short term time frames probably do pull back a little bit, consolidate a little bit more, and then we'd be looking for Boulos to take over in the next few days here before end of week, bringing us back up above those critical regions, specifically to 43,700. That's the one that does hold a lot of weight, which we'll go over soon enough. And then I actually do want to briefly check out the 2-day and then the 5-day. Yes, the 2-day, which is actually closing not tonight, but tomorrow night, is going to be officially crossing up for the first time basically since 1st of December, in fact, which would be confirmed with any sort of closure above 42,300. So that would also be good. And then the 5-day and the weekly have also pretty much fully corrected here as well, as we do see 5-day stochastic momentum coming all the way down. Now we'll officially cross the upside with any sort of a closure on the next 5-day, which is not happening anytime soon. I think we just closed one last night, but that would be above 46,550. So these numbers do start to hold a lot of weight. Anyways, I want to go in now and talk a little bit about the more macro identification of of what this could potentially look like if boo laws do take over, which I think is still very, very far away. Please understand, and this is a critical portion of the analysis, that as long as we see the global open interest still above, 12 billion or anything above 11 billion, realistically, I do hold reservation for Bitcoin putting in anything resembling, a major, massive macro low, which I think is what a lot of people are looking for. Until this really does come back down, specifically to what we saw back in early December, somewhere comparable around there, preferably lower would be better, to be quite honest with you as well. I do not look at this as a full reset. And just go over the quick analysis of this. Look, anytime that we've seen this above 13 billion with a B, it has resulted in 30% moves to the downside or more. Actually, sorry, no, 20% move to the downside or more. In some cases, 50 to 60%, which is rather nasty. So just quickly going over this, and yes, we do have more iterations than this, but I don't think it's necessary to go over. We did see the first iteration here on the board in March. Of course, that did precipitate the move down from 60,000 all the way to 50,000 within just a couple weeks right there. Of course, the time other than that we did see a majorly critical read was obviously on the April $65,000 all-time high before going down to $30,000 and resetting it fully down to about 5 billion, of course, right here. Then marched back up into the July bear trap, of which we did see a high of about $53,000 and also another 13 billion read right here, in fact, before going all the way back down to $40,000. That was a $13,000 move, pretty much all done within a day. And then, of course, our most recent all-time highs at $69,000 all-time high in November. That did precipitate yet again another highest of high reads before coming back down to $40,000, which is kind of where we're at right now. And you did see this open interest read once again go just above 13 billion, actually 13.5 billion right here on that failed rally attempt to $52,000, of which Bitcoin just put in another lower high on the higher term timeframes, which is not great, obviously. Elsa's coughing in the background because she's probably sick, as am I, but it's all good, man. It's all good. And of course, looking at this right here, we can still see that this will unravel a little bit more naturally. Now, of course, and to address a common comment that I get on this, yes, we do naturally expect this number to over time elevate to the upside naturally, with just, more people getting involved within this market. A higher market cap asset is naturally going to have more leverage positions on the board, no shit. But when you compare the market cap to what we had, just back on over here, or even just last year, it's pretty comparable right now. So whilst we do have, new institutions and new vehicles to get leverage positions in, aka an ETF based futures, well, I don't think that would be that different at this point. And again, anywhere down around about 11 billion or so, that's where this becomes a lot more interesting. And to be fair, we are very, very close. Thus far, we've seen a low on the open interest all the way down to about 11.79 billion. And of course, it could come down a little bit more. So I suspect that the next move down, if this is going to end up being bullish, which again, we haven't even gone over the full criteria for that until this even happens. I mean, this is fucking bearish is what it is, to be fair. I mean, all time frame trends are to the downside for what it's worth right now. Well, we do want to see essentially shorts closing to actually bring this number down, as I imagine a lot of this is based off of short open interest. And well, when are you going to start to close your positions if you are short? Probably when you come down to a major area like we're at right now at $40,000. And you can imagine that, it'd just be prudent to be taking at least a little bit of profit, if not a good amount of profit. Obviously, most of the longs have probably been washed out already because, well, they haven't really been, too much going for them for the last couple months, which is probably not great, but ultimately, and to be very, very clear here, we're not talking about super over leveraged, 10x plus traders who might be watching streams like this, commenting, "Fuck you, Krown, man! I'm still in position." It's like, no, that's different. We're talking about big institutions. People actually fucking move this market. Those people who are using, rather low leverage, but still, getting their positions in on that metric. Well, that is who we're talking about, and that is who runs the market, and that is who, well, is likely going to start to change this stuff around right here. So we are getting closer. And of course, I did put a tweet out on this yesterday and actually the week prior as well, kind of just drawing in a bit of a regression from these lows that you see over the summer. And of course, in September, more recently in December, and then perhaps once again here in early January of 2022, that, I'm just curious to see if that actually holds through as a relationship over time, as that would kind of suggest that we are getting pretty damn close right there. Now, let's start to pull the whole needle through and really put a bow on this damn analysis. And first and foremost, I want to be very, very directly clear. Look, there ain't no talks about a macro low being in, no matter what the fuck I say about anything else that's going to follow this statement until at goddamn minimum. And this is not even a minimum. This is like the prerequisite to the minimum. Bitcoin's back above, closing 4-hour dildos back above 43,700. If you get something like that, okay, we can start to consider this current low $40,000 region as potentially a major and complex low, which will still very likely take a long time to actually populate itself. And then what would be the most important thing to be getting? Well, you need a goddamn uptrend, and the trend is your friend, and the trend has not been your friend for a very long time. And in this case, what would actually create an uptrend? Well, you need both a higher high and a higher low. Right now, your last lower high is all the way around $51,000 to $52,000. Until Bitcoin's back above there ain't no talks about any sort of macro low being in. Of course, it could come about multiple ways. You know, you could get a higher high and a higher low just by doing something like this, where you initially pop back up, come back down, set in a higher low first, then pop back up above here, you know, just as a general aside. And I would go as far as saying you're probably going to start to talk about major reversals back above, or Jesus Christ, that was a terrible line. Sorry about this. Probably back above this region right here. But I can come up with a few reasons why I do think that this is an area that, you know, could reasonably, theoretically be a good major low. So first and foremost, we do see that the open interest is slowly but surely correcting down to those regions. Also, I want to bring up sentiment indicators over here as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to once again look at the fear and greed index. We have yet again another extreme fearful read as Bitcoin essentially, you know, made a new low yesterday, although did not close below any new lows, which is very, very important, obviously. But in this case right here, you can almost see a fractal relationship between the fear and greed index sentiments on this current low that we see right here versus what we saw over the summer. It took about 2.5 months over the summer in the very fearful zone before we did have the ultimate mega bear trap from 30,000 all the way up to 53,000, and then, you know, continuation to 69,000, which is a great number. But you know, again, very, very similar reads right here. You get this initial pop up rejection on your range highs, come back down, and then see the same thing right here, make an ever so slightly lower low, and then trudge your way on over the next month and retest that low before getting the bear trap. Well, you kind of have the same thing going on right here. And yes, that would imply that Bitcoin still has probably at least a few weeks, maybe even another month kind of within this region. And very likely in between there's going to be a rally from this region. That rally gets rejected, retest the lows, and well, so on and so forth. So we'll quickly go over on it on price action right here as well. I know yesterday I didn't do the best job of doing this because my face was covering up the charts. So I'll make sure that it's all visible right here. There you go. And let's do this once again. So we're talking about this price action right here, right? Or let me actually get it properly because this is really important. We're talking about this price action right here over the summer. That's what we're measuring up alongside the sentiment indicators. You get this first low right here. Yep, we get this first low right here. You come down about a month later and retest it right here. Boom and boom. Okay, beautiful. Then pop back up. And by the way, I forgot to mention that you do get rejected at your range highs right here. Okay, you got rejected at range highs right there. Boom. Okay, we got that. We got that. Just want to be thorough because I have OCD. And then you come back down, yes, to your lows. You test your lows, even making an ever so slightly lower low right here, by the way, which did happen over the summer as well. And we did certainly get it right on over here as well. No closures below that low. And that's what would invalidate this analysis, by the way, if you are going to be looking at this as a fractal, which I'm not a humongous fan of fractals to begin with, but this actually would fit the bill. Again, talking about this area right here specifically. It looks like an upside down fucked up face or something, like with the black eye maybe. Anyways, so what we'd expect from there is a rally back up somewhere around the 21, you know, somewhere between the 21 and the 200 simple, and then comes back down, bases yet again on the lows, maybe even closing right around the lows. But that is your bear trap confirmed once you get back above your, in this case, the 55, and at least in my opinion, although you get your first initial sort of bear trap indications on this move up right around here. Anyways, now I'm getting way too down into the weeds. We don't need to know that right now. What we need to know is we need to know the relationship within this region right here, of which that does still hold to fruition. Again, looking at sentiment indicators right here, very, 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 very similar. And also that would play into the analysis that we have been looking at with, of course, the hash ribbons indicator. Now, I saw someone earlier comment, why do you not use the capitulation signals as judging the last higher lows? I mean, and no offense, I'm not trying to be an asshole to you right now, but fucking obviously, because that would not work. If you use the capitulation signal right here, your last daily low would be right here. That relationship doesn't hold true. So it obviously doesn't fucking work that way. Sorry. I don't mean to be throwing, shit on anyone. It's just, I saw that comments a few times and it's like, no, that's very obviously and easily invalidated with just a modicum of analysis right there. We're even just looking at the last year of price action, of which we can look at the last 13 years of price action, or 10 years, or 12 years, whatever it is, man. Stats has been around for since 2009, 2010, whatever it is. Anyways, what I want to talk about now, of course, is the hash ribbons indicator, which anytime that we have seen the blue buy signature right here, it has identified that the last daily low prior to that blue buy signature has been the macro low, or I wouldn't say the macro low, although it was a major low before never getting closed below ever again in Bitcoin's history. I'll go over a few examples here. There is one example where this did not work out of all 18 iterations, but just quickly going through it so that I don't bore the ever-loving shit out of you, we can just, quickly see right here, you get the blue buy signal off of that hash ribbons indicator. The daily low prior to that was, of course, $17,000 in November, and Bitcoin, while it does test around there, maybe even in some cases wicks below there, although not in this case, obviously. Well, that is never closed below ever again on a daily time frame for the eternity of Bitcoin, at least until now. I mean, could happen, I suppose. Of course, we have another example right here, another blue buy signal. We do see the daily low prior to that was about 8,900 or so. Yes, Bitcoin does come back down, even wicks right to that region. Again, it can wick below, that's fine, but no closures below. And of course, Bitcoin has never closed below 8,900 ever since. We have another example right here, of course, coming in from April of 2020. And where's your last low before that blue buy signal? That would be right here, 6,800. Obviously, Bitcoin's never closed below there ever since again. And the one iteration where this did not work out of all 18 would be right here in December 2019, where you got this blue buy signature. The last daily low prior to that was 6,600. Bitcoin rallied up 66% actually after that, or sorry, maybe not 66, but like 60% or something. Actually, pretty damn close, 65%. All right, fair enough. And then, of course, we had the old flu dump, which completely negated that. That is the one iteration in history where that relationship did not hold out. And of course, that was, well, in some cases, a black swan. Some people might argue that. Why am I bringing this up right now? Why am I fucking harping on this bullshit? Because our last blue buy signal was right here in August 7th of the year 2021. The last daily prior low to that signature was 37,500. And while Bitcoin did come down and test, around that region, and again, can even get a wick down around there, just don't want to see any closures below there. That relationship would still suggest, statistically speaking, and very much relevant, at least if you look at statistics that's relevant in trading, which is all that I care about, actually, although some people out there might disagree. Fair enough. More power to you. I hope that you stay safe in whatever investments or whatever trading schemes that you're in. But ultimately, that would suggest that, hey, we're pretty fucking close around there. So that would be relevant to be looking at as a potential basing region. Again, pulling all of the all of the cards together. So please understand all of the different levels of validation that are relevant for the short-term timeframes, the medium-term timeframes, and of course the high and the macro timeframes. For the high and the macro timeframes, it ain't changing around anytime soon, to be fair. And I also should denote this, which I've been avoiding discussing, although it does hold some weight here. We do see the weekly accumulation distribution indicator remain with its downside curvature. Now, to be fair, within the context of this downside curvature, which is actually very similar to this relationship over here, just by the way, we do see it finally going into the red for the first time in a while, basically since the summer lows over here. Now, again, these summer lows, like there is a great relationship between this action over here and this action over here. What I'm basically suggesting is that when we do see that actually get a positive slope, we're probably going to see the lows in for a while, at least on the higher term timeframes, and put in the next weekly rally. Here's the thing, even if you're the biggest bear of all time, which I would love to be fucking bearish. I love being bearish. It's my favorite thing. I mean, this channel was born in 2018. And it was the most pleasurable thing to be putting out these like clickbait titles like Bitcoin going to $50,000. And then the whole content would be like, yeah, it's actually going to 3,000. It's so fucking funny, man. People got really, really mad too. Anyways, sorry, I apologize. Anyways, my point is that for right now, you do still have a weekly uptrend here, obviously. You still have higher highs, you still have higher lows. Obviously, what the bears are looking at is that you are very, 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 very close to creating new lows on a weekly closing basis, which would be had below $41,000. And yes, you do have a bit of a head and shoulders in here right now as well, which would have measure moves down, I think, all the way to like $20,000, which is relevant. But shit, first things first, Bitcoin has to, come down and at least fill the gap at like 33 to 3,400, or sorry, not 100, but 1,000 in this case, right around here from, of course, the summer on the bear trap in July, and then we come back to it after that. But here's the thing, even if you're the biggest bear and Bitcoin does make a lower low here, maybe even this week, definitely possible, a daily closure below about, I think it was $41,000 or so would probably do it for me, especially a weekly as well would certainly do it for me. You'd still be looking for Bitcoin to put in a lower high on a failed rally after that on a higher term time frame like this as a weekly. So it probably looks something like this, where you come down first, fill this gap right here if everything else fails, and then pop back up, put in a lower high somewhere right around there. I'm going to guess that that's maybe even around your 618 Fibonacci retracement. holy shit, it's exactly right there. And that's at the point where probably this thing does turn out to be a steaming pile of garbage, and you could probably kiss this market goodbye for the years to come until like later within this decade. Until something like that happens, the trend is still your friend, I suppose, on the higher term timeframes like the weekly. But here's the thing, as long as the daily trend is down, it's not really wise to be holding long-term longs, at least in my opinion. But of course, everyone's free to do whatever the hell they want, because this is a free and an open society. And well, at the end of the day, I just want to be very, 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 very clear in stating where those critical regions are. And I think I did miss one thing with my explanation here. On the shorter term timeframes, again, there's a big reason why this 43,700 region is so relevant. It's actually maybe even a little bit higher than that if I did this. Did I do this right? No, I didn't do this right. So it is 43,700. The reason why this why this area is relevant, not just for a full hour, because that is obviously your range highs, but also the higher term timeframes, is that's your weekly 55 coming in right here as well. And as long as Bitcoin is below it, yeah, it is in danger of, of course, reversing the trend. But if you are going to see something resembling a bear trap, you expect to see something right around here. In fact, exactly as you saw over the summer as well. So what we'd be expecting if this is going to end up being a bear trap and Bitcoin does base out around this region is very likely something like this, where Bitcoin spends, no less than 2, maybe 3 weeks at most, kind of hanging out below it, doing a little bit of that, and then pops back up. If you see something like that, that'd be the next good signal. Until then, it's mostly hopium, but at least short term, is showing a little bit of promise. So hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for Bitcoin. I forgot to make the announcement yet again as well that, what did I forget to make the announcement on? Krown trading application, that is free, and you can find it in the link description below, as is the Jewel Lite, which you can find for the next few weeks as well. What else did I want to say? It's mobile is working. Yes, the mobile version of the app is now officially working. So congratulations. That is fucking amazing, and really, really happy about that. I know that people like to check on their phones. Mark B, I'm talking to you, you bastard. Mark B for fucking bastard. Anyways, sorry, man. Much love to you. He's actually one of my favorite guys in the Discord. And then also Instagram, yeah. A lot of people, I don't know if it's a lot of people, but at least one person is impersonating me on Instagram, going around following all of the people who follow my account, and then messaging them, trying to get them to like invest in their fucking secret fund or get them to download some bullshit. Look, it's not me. I don't have any secret fund. I'm not interested in trading your account. Whatever other warnings I can give on top of that, it ain't me. If you're interested in my actual account, which is actually a rather boring account, but you know what? I do make some posts from time to time. It is in the link description below. I have just one personal one for myself, and then also one for the brand, and then just one Twitter account as well. And then also this goddamn asshole. I got an email from myself. Yesterday asking to market a project for myself, to pay myself. It's like, doesn't even make sense. But yeah, it's not me. And they even got like a great Telegram account. Look, I don't have a Telegram, or I actually do have a Telegram, but it's certainly not public. I don't use it ever, except for like goddamn Jason Pizzino, because he fucking loves Telegram for whatever reason. I hate it. I really hate having all these stupid apps, but you know what? I have that one. Anyways, if its name is like Eric Krown Official on Telegram, it's not me, even though it looks official. It ain't me. And again, I'm not going to like market any shitcoin projects anyway, so it doesn't matter. Anyways, I'm going to finish off this coffee. We'll get into the comments, and then we'll move on with our beautiful lives here. Zen Bull Trading says Jewel Lite is so cool. Yeah, man, I'm glad that people are enjoying it. Honestly, I love that indicator, man. It works sillily enough, like more often than it probably should. But yeah, man, it's one that's near and dear to my heart. Obviously, the full on Jewel is like my favorite of favorites. But hey, man, I'm gonna get into the comments right now. I'm gonna turn on the alerts yet again. I see that we got 2,400 people watching right now. Again, good morning to everyone out there. Holy shit! I realize that it is incredibly late for a lot of people over there in the Western Hemisphere. Again, I salute you, crypto zombies. More power to you, and welcome on in. So let's see what we got. And also, almost 1,000 likes on the video as well. That's insane. Again, major thank you for that. All right, sweet. We have Mr. JW first says, hey, man, I appreciate that. Thank you. Daily insights are excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much, man. Link, 4 hour, 3 recent drives of bullish evidence. Yeah, Link is one of the ones that has been on my radar for a while, and especially over the last couple weeks here. So let's definitely do another video on this one today. This one, I imagine, is probably having one of the better reactions, the better responses of the last 24 hours. Indeed, it is. Closed on new highs from yesterday. That is beautiful. So let's actually, let's record this one, but let me read your thingy first. Okay, you're saying BBWP dropped significantly. Comments? No, it did not. Or maybe you're on a 4 hour, but I'm on a daily. Let's just recover this asset. Here we have chain link symbol LINK versus the dollar. This has been one that we've been following up on for the last couple weeks here because it's been showing relative strength, and yet again it has done something that is that is amazing actually. Ooh. Sorry, that's going on the video too. Anyways. We do have a bit of a crown cross situation going on right here where we do see the 21 cross the upside of the 55. That is also known as the silver cross, but the reason why I call it a crown cross because the next move down anywhere around the 21, I am looking at that as potential entry, potentially maybe even for a long-term trade in this case. So I would still be having a similar analysis to yesterday in the sense that yes, we are testing around the top side of your daily range highs. That's fine. We do expect to see pullbacks around that region as well. You know, there is nothing majorly nasty about that. You do expect a pullback after, you know, a nice little run like this, but I do believe that the reversal is real, and higher term timeframes like the 5-day, which just closed last night, are closing on new highs for this rally. So I would be looking at next pullback anywhere down around about 25 to 25.5 as a nice base and an area to potentially manage off of. Of course, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I do like the setup going on right here. So yes, to kind of blunt my thoughts here, I would say that short term, you know, maybe likely to put in maybe one more drive to the upside, although you are starting to construct many drives of bearish divergence come off the highs right here, 1, 2, 3 drives on the 4 hour alone. But ultimately, I would be looking for a pullback sometime within this next 7 days or so, somewhere down around maybe even as low as $25 or $24.50. Either one of those is fine. As long as it's remaining above there on a daily closing basis, I'm looking up and to the right on this one with the next major region to be aware of right here at your prior highs from late November, which would be about just below $31. Any sort of a daily closure above there, I would be looking for it to retest weekly highs from our accumulation zone, which would be all the way up to about $33.60 on a closing basis, or on a wick basis, about $36 or so, a little bit below $36. Either which way, I do like the setup going on right here as we do see weekly RSI showing hidden bullish evidence, 1, 2, 3, 4 drives actually coming on all the way back on from here from just about a year ago, which is actually, or sorry, maybe even a couple years ago, which is insane. And on top of that, you know, regaining all major moving averages right here. And if you are looking at this from a crown cross perspective as well, you got hidden bullish evidence, you're back above all major moving averages, and you do see that volatility is relatively low coming into this correction, of which it is giving you a higher low, and this is starting to shape off as one long-term macro accumulation. If we go over here to the monthly, again, I like this read. This is a good recovery off the 21. If we go over here to our momentum oscillators, I do want to check out how we're looking like on the daily and then the shorter term timeframes, but I imagine more or less probably fine with a short-term pullback implied. Yeah, daily will be remaining with upside posturing as long as this one's closed above $26. So it might get one more drive short-term to the upside, but I don't think that you're going to see any major continuation from where you're currently at. We've kind of already hit the targets that we were looking for in the short term on this one. 4 hour will also be downside postured as long as we are below 27.5. And then I imagine the higher term timeframes, of which the 5-day and the weekly just closed in the last 48 hours, are going to be looking pretty damn good. The weeklies, especially coming in from a very low level, will be remaining with upside momentum as long as it's above $20 or so. Anyways, going back on over here and kind of pulling this whole picture together. Again, you know, short term, maybe one more drive, although I actually do think it probably pulls back from here. Anywhere down around 25 to 24.5 is where I'm looking for on the next higher low on a daily. And I'm essentially bullish on this one, looking for it to essentially complete this reversal on the higher term timeframes, as long as you're remaining above specifically at minimum, or sorry, at most the 618, which is actually 23.5, but realistically more around the 0.5 in this case, which is just below, just around about 24.5, I would say. So again, something like this would look pretty damn good. You know, maybe one more drive to the upside. I'm not too confident on that. What I am confident on is the next move down into a higher low will look incredibly good for this asset. I just want to see volatility cool off a little bit. I want to see daily RSI probably play out an ever so slight amount of hidden bearish evidence between this point over here, which, by the way, this first test into the bullish control zone probably going to be pushed back, as it hasn't been around there for a long time. I mean, this is going back all the way more than 2 months now. So likely to pull back from this region, whether it gets one more drive to, $30 even or not. But ultimately, I do think that the setup is really starting to mature here, and long-term Link is starting to finally look like it has a good base in, and like the accumulation is getting close to over, maybe around end of this month, early February in this case. So hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for Link, sir. Nice, man. Anyways, I see that we got, I think we have Mr. NWB next. Says, there's also triple MACD bullish divergence on Bitcoin daily. We can look at it. I'm not a humongous fan of MACD. MACD's nuts. Divergences, they don't really seem to, they just seem to have a lower hit rate from my own back testing, but they still do work out, just not as good as RSI in this case. Anyways, you're saying there's also triple MACD bullish divergence. Yeah, you'd be correct on that. Yes, we are making higher lows on MACD histogram right there. Yeah, absolutely, alongside lower lows on price action. Yeah, 100%. Definitely within there. Also, thoughts on CPI data releasing on Wednesday and it possibly causing more downside. There's no way for me to know that, man. I'm not an insider into these economic indications are. I'm basically on the same level as you there. I have no idea what's going to happen there. But look, here's the thing: the people who are insiders, they're already making their decisions right now, and so we can assume that the price action that you're seeing is going to be representative of what those insiders already know. They're already making their decisions. And we can only see that, unless you are an insider yourself, of course, on price action. That is going to be the most pertinent way to be looking at that. And so far, to me, that looks like it's being priced in at the current moment in time. So I don't know. I don't know. And honestly, when it comes to economic data, it certainly does matter. No doubt about that. But very hard to make a trading plan around. And at the end of the day, you always need to employ some form of literal price analysis to match it up with that. So when I see something like CPI data or just any economic data coming out, I actually don't try to, I'm not trying to anticipate what's going to happen there. I want to be responsive to what does happen. That's my edge. That's where I feel a lot more confident. So let's say that, CPI data comes out tomorrow, and I want to be flat, actually. I want to be able to take advantage of whatever potential volatility would cause there. And, perhaps I look for scalps down around here. Perhaps I look for scalps right around here on a quick move. And then I let price action settle. And then I look for potentially the trend to emerge from there. I'm not trying to guess what something that I have no fucking way of knowing. That's no edge. That's no way to make a living. And that's just that's just gambling as far as I'm concerned. Beast Trader says IWM daily, weekly. Elsa's laughing in the background, and there's nothing funny about this, so you should stop laughing. And I absolutely hate it. You sound like a bitter, jealous California hater. All right, fair enough. That's enough internet for me today. Good morning to you as well, sir. Hope your day goes better. Anyways, let's see. Daily, weekly on IWM. Okay, so what do we have here? We do have one massive consolidation range. I guess I must have charted it. I don't know when I charted this one out last, but whenever I did it, it's still working. It's been a long time. It's been a very long time. So IWM represents Russell 2000, it's a Russell 2000 ETF essentially. And as far as this goes, I'm not going to make any calls on this as long as you're essentially above 208 and a quarter and below about 234 and a half. You're looking at higher term time frames, so I imagine that this is probably relevant to you. I'm looking for this area to bounce off this region. If we go over here to a daily, I'm sure that you are showing maybe a little bit more continuation on this bounce. Then again, actually, yes, potentially. You will have natural bullish divergence come off the lows. Depending upon how you kind of open up today, short-term rallies back up to 218 to 220 region are probably likely, but it doesn't really do anything for the greater structure, which is what I imagine you're probably more interested in, just based off of your comment. And in this case right here, I am just looking for this one to kind of scoot sideways around this region. Probably short-term this week, you do see a bit of a rally, but I don't think that you're seeing resolution anytime soon. I would not call a resolution, again, as long as you're kind of oscillating between these two zones right here. I know that it's not a really sexy analysis, but I'm not seeing anything that's too obvious. The obvious things that I'm seeing is that this very likely goes on for a longer time. So you're probably looking at something like this, next move up, come back down, something like that. And then maybe if it ends up being bullish, see something like that. If it's bearish, then you see probably a lower high somewhere right around here, and then boop, and then fucking spit it out. But my main analysis on this is that you probably ain't seeing anything too interesting as far as a range break anytime soon. The reason why I say that is because volatility I want to see this one contract first, back down around below at least 30 percentile, probably below 25 percentile before I look for this one in like a breakout posturing. I imagine the monthly is probably, it's fully contracted right here. So this one is setting up, but again, probably February is where I'm looking for on resolution. Not necessarily this month just yet. I think you got more sideways to go. So probably an uninteresting chart with a little bit of short-term upside. I don't know if that's relevant to you or not, but hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for that, sir. You sound like a Californian hater. Well, fair enough, man. I guess that's going to haunt my dreams tonight. Jack Asman says, good morning, Krown. Good morning, T-Man. Sorry. I am skipping a few people. I apologize. We'll get to that later. Sorry, Mr. Jack. Don't mean to get you all lubed up and ready for the deal, but we have to get to Mr. Luke Faulkner Hall first. And he says, hey, mate, what's up? Do you snowboard? I do, but not very well. Anyway, Elsa can attest to that. Sis, please. Okay, so Syscoin. I remember we looked at this one like a week or two ago, and it's actually one of the few ones that was putting in a constructive rally, which was quite interesting to see. Anyways, you're looking at momentum and volatility in line with it and keeping within I don't know what that means. Anyways, basically, if you're asking if I think this chart continues from here, yes. The reason why I say that is because you do have hidden bullish evidence. You just got another higher low onto contracting volatility around the 55. Beautiful. I think this is also, I have this area marked off from a very long time ago, I'm guessing. Yeah, this is actually coming in from your 2018 highs. So I do look at this as a big base, specifically being 84.5 cents. So that is very important for the macro scale here. If you do start to close daily doldrums below there, I would be looking for a deeper corrective phase all the way down to about 66.5 cents, maybe even all the way down to 57 from there. But ultimately, I actually do like this region right here. Shorter term time frames are just a bit of an ebb and flow. That's not really giving me too much. I wouldn't call a range resolution on this one as long as you're below about 109, and I wouldn't necessarily be bearish on this one. Basically same area as the weekly, actually, at about 84.5 cents. Until then, I'm just looking for a little bit more sideways within here, and above, and any sort of a closure above 109, I'm looking for this one to basically retest around your 120 to 1.25, I'm guessing all-time highs, and probably does continue from there over time. It's a pretty ridiculous chart here, yes, but for right now, I'd give it at least one more chance, to be fair. You did also ask about an hourly as well. Short term, probably another trade to the downside, to be fair, but I don't know how relevant to that is to you or not. Yeah, I don't really have much to add on to that other than what already been said. Obviously, if Bitcoin does turn down here, you're going to see this thing turn down alongside with it. If Bitcoin continues upside, this one probably does gun for that 120 to 125 prior highs. Anyway, Stefan Milicevic says, good day, sir. Can you do AVAX? Yeah, we can definitely do AVAX. Yeah, we can do AVAX. Sorry. Voice is cracking right there. Yeah, my I sound like Bob the Builder. My voice is kind of wrecked, actually. Again, I am a little bit sick, but that's okay, man. And you know what's funny? Actually, or it's not really funny, but Elsa was considering investing in AVAX herself. In fact, she likes the name, apparently, and that's what matters most. All right, let me take a sip of this water. Man, this chart worked out really, really well. Huh, not bad. Here we have avalanche symbol AVAX versus the dollar. And this, and since last we spoke on this one, we did say a break below, or first we called a pullback from about 127 down to $100 lows. We did get that pullback. Then we said a break below $100 and very likely initiates move all the way down to your $80 lows right here. We've thus gotten that as well. So this is once again an interesting chart. I would be looking for bounce off this region regardless of whether you're bullish or bearish, just because it is your range lows, and well, I don't think that you're necessarily ready to break it. If you are going to break it at all just yet, we do see, or at least I think we see, a little bit of bullish divergence forming off the lows right there. Very, 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 very slight drives. I think it's going to be a little bit more apparent on a 12-hour. Indeed, it is. You can see it very obviously right here. And of course, that is going to imply that the other shorter term timeframes will have it naturally as well. Here's the thing, though. I would not be super excited about this one from the short term timeframe narrative as long as you're trading below about 91.80 or 91.90 in this case. Any sort of a 4-hour closure above there, and I would be looking for this one to give a nice rally back up towards your $100 region, of which that is your major area for this general consolidation. Above $100, I do look at this one as generally in a good posturing for the long term, but still likely to play out a long term range within this region in consolidate at best. So what am I essentially going off of right here? I'm essentially just going off of the median of the range, which is a 0.5 Fibonacci retracement. Above there, I look at this one as, generally healthy yet again. Below there, I look at it as corrective at best and with big problems on new lows below about $80 or so. So any sort of a daily closure, I think it's actually a little bit below $80, more like $79 in this case. And I would be looking for the next major leg down with targets down somewhere around the 1.272 actually, which would be low $60. In fact, I'll put in a nice little blue box right here. If that were to happen, obviously that would imply that Bitcoin very likely breaks down as well, which, you probably know my thoughts on Bitcoin, that Bitcoin has, maybe a short-term downside move here, but I do think that we have a nice medium-term low in for right now. The question is, does this one get back above its critical regions? Let's see what our other oscillators are saying right here. We do see daily Joule is getting pretty fucking low. We actually haven't, we've only seen it lower than this about once or twice in the history of this asset, both of which did lead towards, I believe, major reversals. Yeah, this one right here in July, actually perfectly in July. And then, of course, the one before that would be right here coming out of this base from $3. Jesus Christ, man, that is insane. Before going to $60, I would not necessarily say that that's going to be like the move yet again. But for right now, I do look at this one as consolidating for a long time on the higher term timeframes. Short term timeframes likely bounce up here. We do see on the weekly, we will have yet again another drive of hidden bullish evidence if it can confirm another drive, or sorry, a local low here on the weekly. But in order to confirm a local low on the weekly, you need to at minimum close back above $100. At minimum on a daily, preferably a little bit of a higher term time frame than that. Overall, if we do go here to the momentum charts, I just want to see where they're kind of currently positioned. Weekly will turn back up actually above 100, or not above $100, but 98.5, so that would be good. 5-day is nosediving below 123, so that is not good. Daily is going to freshly turn up above 85, which you are literally trading about 82 cents above right now. And then 4 hour is going to turn back up above about 88 bucks or so. So again, short term, a little bit of sideways here. I'd really want to see this one actually close a 4 hour doodle back above your short term range highs, which is 91.90. That's going to make it start to look good for a nice short term, medium term low. Then $100 the next big area. But again, I think at best this thing's going to be trading sideways between about 125 and your current lows at $80. At best, assuming all things go as well as possible, maybe for like another month here or so. So hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for Avalanche, sir. Sweet. Let's see. Mr. Luke Bowden, what's up, brother? Hey, Krown. Hey, man, it's all good, man. It's all good. Yeah, and of course, when backtesting Bitcoin and shitcoins, will you do every time frame you wanted to trade? Yes. As well as every shitcoin. I've done Bitcoin and Ethereum, just not others. I only backtest the ones that I want to trade myself. And in fact, I've been in the process recently, and I even posted this in the Discord, I think over the weekend. Maybe I'll post a few more on it as well, but I actually went through the process of finally doing it on like an Excel sheet. I've never actually done it on an Excel sheet with like my back testing, but there's actually a lot of advantages to doing it right there, like obviously. But I've just been very, I guess, grandpa-like in doing it with my pen and paper, and shit like that. But I don't know, man. It's just the way that I was kind of brought up with it, I suppose. But ultimately, no, the idea with backtesting is you want to be as specific as possible to what you actually want to do. So there's really no value, in my opinion, to backtesting whatever strategy that you're considering on a coin that you're not interested in trading. Now, here's the thing. From my backtesting, I do find in general strategies across all different asset classes perform very similarly to each other, with maybe slight differences here and there. But basically, and let me just make sure that I'm getting your question properly. When backtesting Bitcoin and shitcoins, will you do every time frame you wanted to trade? Yeah, and then I only do the time frames that I want to trade. But sometimes, and every once in a while, what I'll do, especially if I have some free time, is I'll test a time frame that like I don't really care too much about, but might be interesting, and then just to see the results. And it can be rather enlightening. But from my studies, more often than not, things are going to be within a small degree of error from asset to asset, and then also from time frame to time frame as well. Is actually rather enlightening to do it more recently, when I found that the 15 minute for one of my major strategy for like my main strategy right now had very similar results to an hourly. So I'm going to start to employ it a little bit more there. Just as an aside. So yeah, you always want, the general rule is you want to be as specific as possible, and then not really care about anything else. I mean, that's mostly a waste of time in my opinion. But yeah, man, hopefully that was helpful. New 333. And by the way, man, congratulations, Luke, because Luke is one of our guys who actually, I believe he got funded, and you also are doing like really, really well. You're doing some market making activities. That's fucking amazing. That's fucking amazing, man. Really, 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 really happy for you. You're going to have a nice and healthy career. It sounds like fucking phenomenal, brother. New Triple Three says, hello, Miss Krown. Hello, Mr. New Bro. No Krown Bro today. All right, well, fair enough. I don't know how you slept next to a smelly... Whoa! Now the nuclear discussion has been brought back. Kudos, sir. Can we take a look at VET, USD, 6 hour and daily? Yes. VET, huh? Yeah, this one was asked about yesterday after like a long time of not being asked about for a while. Let's see. Yeah, I'm still it's not the strongest chart on its own, man, but look, if Bitcoin puts in a nice low and if Bitcoin bounces, this thing's going to bounce as well, as you probably already well know. But where does this one start to change around? Well, if you're going off of the 6 hour as you requested, I wouldn't really call this one doing anything of particular interest as long as you're below about not 81 cents, but 8.1 cents. Any sort of a do I already have this one charted? Yeah, I do already have this one charted. Any sort of a closure above that region, and I do look at this one as likely putting in a nice major daily low right here. Yes, that would imply that you will also have 1, 2, 3 drives of bullish evidence come off the lows as well, and probably do initiate moves back around, the median of your range, which I'm gonna guess is probably around that 9-cent region, actually, just under 9 cents, in fact. But ultimately, long term, really can't get excited about this thing as long as it's below 10 cents. Above 10 cents, yeah, it looks like we got a nice complex low in here, similar to what we saw on Link as well. And here's the thing, man, when I see Link do something like it has done, and I see a similar chart to that, I'm usually going to be biased towards that other chart following through with the leader. In this case, Link is the leader. Lisp, or what is it? VET. Yeah, VET is the follower. But it is a weaker follower, obviously. So let me just go over here and check out where momentum is. If daily is starting to turn up, I'm probably looking at this as more likely to put in a local low here than not, and then those divergences can start to take over. If we go over here to the daily, let's see. Daily stochastic momentum will turn up above about 7 cents, which you're trading above right now. I probably should actually have a few more decibels on that. In fact, I can do that with this indicator, but I'm not going to do it right now because I don't want to deal with it. Yeah, 12 hours already turning up as well. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that it's likely to rally from this region. 2-day will also turn up above 8 cents tomorrow if it does get that closure. But again, if you're going by the book, still want to see a closure above at least like 8 cents. That would really solidify this as a major low here, with next move up somewhere around 9, maybe even 10 cents. Above 10 cents, that's where this one really starts to confirm like a macro low, in my opinion, with targets back up towards probably your prior weekly highs, which is in the mid-teens, like 15, 16 cents, and then go on from there. I'd really only get bearish on this one if you close below your 4th of December wick lows, looking for majorly new lows in this case, with targets down. I mean, targets at minimum down to like 6 cents, and probably low over time after another failed bounce there, but fair enough. Anyways, let me just double check over here. Oh man, no fills for me. No fills for daddy. Call myself daddy. That's good. That's really hot. That's really sexy. Nuke Tech says FTM daily and monthly. I don't know if there's much of a monthly on Phantom, but we can check it out. Sure. Krown, you Hey man, it's all good. Again, man, I've just been looking at, I've been staring at charts for far too long. I think anyone else who's been doing it, as much as me, would probably be in the same boat as well. But I do appreciate that, man. Here we have Phantom, symbol FTM versus the dollar. This was one of the 4 crypto assets that we called out over the weekend as one of the ones to watch because it's showing relative strength. Now, this is a LARP line right here, relevant for a break of the $2 region. That is not what we're having right now, and I want to be very specific in stating this. This one corrected all the way down to our levels, which is beautiful, and I am just looking at this as a higher low, and you will know that is a possibility by having potential hidden bullish evidence right here, which it will if it does confirm as a local low, which is probably pretty damn close to doing it, even on maybe a 12-hour. No, I guess not so much a 12-hour, although the way to confirm it on both the 12-hour and a daily would be one and the same, and that is with a closure above $2.50. If that does happen, you will confirm hidden bullish evidence on a 12-hour and a daily, and very likely initiate moves back up around $2.80 to basically $3 or so. I am still looking at this one as one of the strong ones long term. It has had one of the better reactions and one of the better resolutions for the past month or so here, but just like a lot of the other charts, I do think that it will be consolidating for a little bit more time. Yeah, although on the weekly, we do see some signatures of maturity here on the consolidation, but a weekly obviously is going to be operating on a weekly schedule, so we'd still probably be looking at minimum around end of this month, probably more like February in this case. But you do see weekly volatility coming all the way down to the same levels that we have seen some major breakouts and breakdowns actually happen from. The last one was actually August right here before going on a pretty mega move. That first move about 700% over 49 days. That's fucking insane. Of course, the time before that was coming out of this base right here before a nice move from base to high of about 5,600% over 49 days again. That's crazy. This one over here did come with the downside resolution, so we're just going to ignore that one for right now because this one is obviously in an uptrend for the time being, and still does hold all of its major moving averages in fact as well. So I'm actually looking at this as probably continuation over the next month or so, just a little bit of short-term sideways with probably a little bit of short-term up as well. We do see potential hidden bullish evidence even on the weekly between this point and this point as well, and certainly should be on the 5-day actually. Should be a little more visible on the 5 days, what I mean to say, and indeed it is. So ultimately, I do look at this one as yet again one of the strongest ones. I would still yet to call, or I would still not call an upside resolution on this one for the greater structure here with major targets actually until you do get an official closure above the same levels as before, that being 320. At that point, I would be looking for a move up somewhere around $5 to $5.80 over the next following weeks, with potential for more over the next few months upon validation above there, maybe into the mid to low teens. With that in mind, I do want to check out momentum over here just to see if there's anything super obvious that maybe I'm missing. 2-day is turning down. 5-day is freshly up, by the way, above 140. That would be quite good, seeing as it's trading at 236. Weekly is also freshly up and rejecting the bearish control zone, pretty damn good. And daily is fully corrective here, as you would expect throughout this corrective phase, and will be turning back up basically above $3. So I look for that to come down alongside this one holding sideways. I only invalidate this one as probably one of the better setups long term, with any sort of a closure at below the same level that we've been speaking about for the past week now, $2. Below $2, then at that point I do look for the LARP line to play out with maybe a higher low coming in down around here at about $1.25 or so. Until then, I'm actually looking at this one as probably one of the better ones, and just a little bit short-term corrective here. So hopefully that was helpful, and there you go for Phantom Sir. Nice one, man. There he is. Now we have Jack. Jack says Matic 4-hour and daily. Good morning to you as well, sir. Good morning to you as well. All right, let me pull up Matic over here. I know that I have it on my list, and what do you fucking know, baby? Oh man, you just have to love Matic. It just trades so technically, and well, I need to take a sip of this water, and then we'll get into it, I think. Not Penny's Boat says, Mike, I saw on the news today that scissoring will make its debut in the Winter Olympics this year. Is that like a lesbian thing, or is that like literally cutting up paper? I have a lot of experience with, never mind. Look, Elsa loves this show called RuPaul's Drag Race, and it's about all these, I guess, cross-dressers. Is that a socially acceptable term? Who compete in this drag race thing, and it's very serious for them. Like it's like their life's goal to win this fucking drag race. Fair enough, man. I appreciate artistry, but man, there's some weird shit that goes on in that show. It's fucking hilarious, though, man. Jesus Christ. Anyways, I'm going to get off that topic before I get banned from YouTube. Who knows what's going to come out of my mouth next on that one. Anyways, here we have Polygon symbol MATIC versus the dollar. And what do we have? We have yet again another base at the $2 level. And I'd be saying the same thing as what we said over the past few days here. That corrections down to $2 are fine. We just don't want to see any closures below. More like actually 192 in this case, to be quite honest with you, but $2 just sounds a little bit easier to say, and that is kind of where your closing bases are coming in. Anyways, ultimately, I do still look at this as another higher low in the making, and that would only be invalidated, key ingredient here, below about 192 on a higher term time frame closure. Until then, I look at this as your next very likely higher low. We would have naturally another drive of hidden bullish divergence here. If this does confirm as a higher low, how would you confirm it as a higher low? That is the next question, obviously. Well, in this case, we could probably go down to a 4-hour, of which I would say any sort of a 4-hour closure above both the 200 simple and also your range highs, which is 228 and change, would do it for me. Until then, you got a higher low right here on the shorter term timeframes. You don't necessarily have a higher high just yet. This doesn't really count to me. That would confirm that, and also confirm it on a daily as well, as above about 228 in this case, with targets back up basically around your prior range highs between 250 and 267 or so. There's probably gonna be stops along the way, obviously, but for right now, I do think that this one is showing a nice corrective phase as it does mature throughout this region. 5-day had a decent enough closure right here. Do we even have we will have hidden bullish evidence on the 5-day, in fact, ever so slightly, but it would be present if that does confirm above the same region as well, in fact. So we're seeing a lot of confluence between all of these ones. Weekly, same shit as well. So that is good. And of course, the monthly long term, we just saw a backfill in last month's open and now up. That is good. So I'm actually looking at Matic as you know, I wouldn't necessarily say that like it's likely to complete that correction today, but it does have a lot of things in place that do look, you know, more or less good. Anyways, looking at the daily over here from a momentum perspective, we do see daily stochastic turning up above 207. Good. 5-day, which just closed last night, is still corrective. So long term, I don't think that you're like busting through all-time highs anytime soon. I think that you will be correcting for a while, but both 2-day and daily are looking like they are going to turn up relatively soon, as is the 12-hour, which already has above 197. Beautiful. 4-hour should be all the way up there as well, freshly up above 211. So yeah, man, I'm actually looking at this one as just likely to trade sideways and up from here. I'd really only get bearish on a new closing lower low below about 192. Until then, the next big area to be aware of is about 228, above 228, especially on a 4-hour closure. You're going to confirm local lows on all time frames, basically up to like a 5-day, maybe even, up to a 5-day, of which that's going to confirm hidden bullish evidence as well. Turn up all your momentum oscillators and, well, probably get moves back around your prior highs in the following weeks. And this one's still, you know, among some of the more strong ones longer term. So Polygon still showing relative strength. I should talk about what happens if this one does break its current lows. At that point, I'm looking for this one to come down quite significantly, meaning somewhere around about 170 or so. But for right now, you know, as long as Bitcoin kind of holds its own ground, I expect that Polygon probably does something relatively similar as well. So hopefully that's helpful. And there you go for Matic, sir. I think we have, is it Jack Jansen next? I think it is Jack Jansen. Says near USD on the 4-hour and daily. Yeah, man, this one's actually recorded a video for Elliot's channel yesterday on this one, but he did not post it. Damn it. No, I think he was having like some sort of an issue. Anyways, pretty fucking good, man. Look, it came right down to our area yesterday on that correction. Beautiful. Didn't even close below our more aggressive region as well, which is even better. But ultimately, I'm just looking at this one as very, 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 very relatively strong. Just want to see a closure above the 16.5 region officially, and then I would be looking for the next measured move somewhere around about $20 to be hit. I don't think that things would stop there long term, and I do think that this is quite a good setup with hidden bullish evidence right here. Volatility very, very low. I mean, this is about as look, it doesn't mean it's 100% guaranteed to work out, but that is fucking good right there. I'd really only invalidate this one, not even below that region, but below about $12.50. Now, below $12.50, yeah, look for big corrections down towards, you know, 9 maybe, but I don't think that's what's happening here. This one's among some of the strongest that we've seen realistically within like the last month. 4-hour is obviously trending right now as well. Probably going to be another short-term pullback somewhere around your 17.25 highs, prior highs in that case. I'm just looking for higher lows on your short-term time frames after that, and then the higher term time frames take over. One of the best charts that we've seen today, actually. No doubt about that. Cool. Yeah. The last green one. You saying from St. Lucifer? Who? Frank Saints. What the fuck? Oh, Frank Saints. Okay, I see. One sec. Frank Saints says, "Are Bitcoin spot on Stamp and CME on a weekly uptrend still?" Yes. Didn't we close last week on a lower low and no? If you're looking at a closing basis, yes, but I've actually switched around my my views on this long term. I switched this around a while ago, actually, but basically the only way that I kind of negate a full and reversal like this is I want to see a closing lower low than the prior wick low. So in this case, that would be this area right here, and that is about just around $41,000. So until Bitcoin actually closes below that, I don't consider it I don't consider it like a confirmed price action. That just seems to work better. I went ahead and back tested it, and I had to change my views on that based off the data. But if you're going off of closures, then yes, it would have broken right here. But I don't think that that's the right way to be doing things, or at least from my back testing, it doesn't work as well. Just point blank period. The statistics don't lie on that one. So no, I would kind of disagree with that. Or it's not that I disagree with it. It's just you're just saying something different. So fair enough. Or you're what? Oh, a deal. Yeah. I know Raiders did Oakland dirty, but please accept this as an apology and give Carr some love. Yeah, to be honest, man, I haven't watched a game in a long time, seeing as, it's kind of difficult over here in Finland. The games happen in like the wee early morning hours, and man, I ain't got any time for that because I go to bed at 9. I go to bed at 8:30 actually last night. Anyways, you're looking at Ethereum and Ethereum versus Bitcoin here. So yeah, we certainly did break the 8 million Satoshi region. Holy shit, man, that one just accelerated the downside after that. Which, did we hit our downside targets after that? This is not the chart I was working on. Hold on, I have another chart over here. I'm gonna guess, I didn't even mark it off. Well, whatever it was, it's probably like 7.3 million Satoshis, which is kind of down there right now. See, maybe a 5 day is gonna show it. It's gotta be, sorry. It's gotta be on the weekly, yeah, the weekly 21 right there. I would be looking for bounces here regardless of whether you're bullish or bearish, but you are on a daily and a weekly, so let's just double check here. Or how does this one actually change the monthly? That's a real question. Monthly could very easily correct a little bit lower, to be honest with you. It could very easily come down to 7 million Satoshis even. Let's see. Are we showing any signs of bottoming out around here? Okay, 4 hours going to have many drives of bullish evidence, but that ain't going to be good enough for anything that really matters. Man, a sloppy chart. I would call this one a nice medium-term bottom back above about 7.55 million Satoshis with targets back up somewhere around about 7.8 to 7.9 region. You are seeing extremes here on 12-hour BBWP, maybe even daily as well. No, not even close on daily. So short-term probably does bounce and reset a little bit. But that is actually a bearish setup long-term, so not great right there. I think the only way that where would I start to get bullish on this one once again? I mean, the weekly still is an uptrend, yes, obviously, but I suppose back above last week's high, which is 8.29 million Satoshis. At that point, I'd have an easy time getting bullish. Until then, I do think that this one's going to be corrective at best, and it wouldn't be my choice just because Ethereum's been a relative weak actor recently. I'm just curious to see what happened over here, or do we see anything that's a little bit more obvious, perhaps? Maybe on a daily. Yeah, daily is fully correcting down towards 7 million even. Weekly is fresh down, not fucking good. 5-day fresh down and a hard down there as well. I'm going to say that this one is going to be trading sideways at best for a while, and I would not be excited about this chart, especially as long as you're trading below about 7.7 million Satoshis on a 4 hour. And I really hammer that point in because I do think it would be relevant to be more conservative on a chart like this that, you know, really did dump out more than the rest of the market, which does show relative weakness. And if we go over here to Ethereum versus the dollar, man, this one doesn't even know what a fucking bounce is. So, you know, fair enough. If and when Bitcoin does bounce, which I think that it is right here, you're probably going to see Ethereum bounce as well. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, that was an ass move. To be fair, we did hit our target yesterday from the 55 on the US dollar pairing. So you're more likely to bounce off this region than not. But I do think that, you know, at best this thing's going to be trading sideways between about 3,600 or 3,500 and your current lows at 2,800. Like best case scenario for a while, and then maybe sets it up for a break if everything goes perfectly, you know, around end of Q1 of 2022. But for right now, definitely not my definitely not my favorite chart, although I do think that it will very likely bounce off this region. Yeah, 4 hour over here is kind of showing the same picture as Bitcoin, a little bit weaker as well, and you actually want to have hidden bearish evidence right there, but same sort of logic applies on that one. Mr. Frylock says, can you check out Muse versus Wrapped Ethereum on the daily and 4? Okay. Getting into these ones now, the Ethereum pairings. I guess the problem with pairing yourself against Ethereum is that Ethereum's also weak, so it doesn't really mean that the US dollar pairing is great, but because it's better to be going up than going down anyways. I mean, this is fine. I do think that you're going to retest your prior daily range highs from August about 0.229 or 23 or whatever it is right there. Very likely pull back. At that point, I'm just looking for higher lows. Hopefully somewhere around the 382 if this one is going to be on the stronger side, which actually apparently I already have marked off right here, which is about 0.112. Or sorry, 22. So, you know, very likely one more try to the upside, then I'll be looking for it to come back down, try for a higher low. If you get a higher low somewhere between there and about 0.009 even, at that point I'd be looking for this one to actually give a nice full move back up towards your prior, I guess, all-time highs. But, you know, it's got a lot of work to do here, obviously. If you're on a 4 hour, I do think you're generally continuing from here. So just one more move to the upside, very likely pulls back from there. Come back to it after that, basically. Spread the love, mate, says BitNick. Spreading the love to you as well. Okay, so calm down. Tino Lolino. Tino Lolino. Man, that is a great name. PYR14 in daily. Okay, so I always remember that. I have like the wrong chart on this one. So is it KuCoin that you want me to go to, or is it Bittrex? I'm guessing it's KuCoin. Yeah, I'm guessing it's KuCoin. KuCoin. 14 in daily. And sorry, sir, I apologize. Anyways, do we have anything going on right here? No. No. But again, just like Bitcoin bouncing, this one's probably going to bounce as well. It's just a little bit on the weaker side. Short term, where does this one actually start to turn around? Where is that critical up? Oh, Jesus Christ, I've charted this one too many damn times. If you're on a 4 hour, that'd be 16.25. Until then, you know, anything's just another lower high. Above 16.25, I do look for this one to actually go on a nice little rally. It's been pretty damn beat up to the downside, so really wouldn't take too much. Rally targets upon validation above there would be somewhere around $19, maybe even $20. Long term, hard chart to love just because, well, it's done the old parabolic blow off top here basically, and Well, I think at best you're going to be going sideways for a very long time, between about $10 and more like $30. I think at best for a long time, maybe even like another 6 months to a year. But short term probably does try a little bit of an upside. I only get bearish on this one for major moves down towards like $6.50 if you do close below the 200 simple right there. Which is probably gonna be the same thing on a same thing on like a 4 hour below about 11 and a quarter. As long as you're above there, I'm generally looking for this one to trade sideways and up. Try a little bit of a bouncy bounce here, but again, I don't think that this one's going to be doing anything super interesting or consistent to the upside over long term. Certainly not making new all-time highs at least for like another few months, and that's like best case, probably more like a half a year or 2 year if it even ever does again at all. I mean, this is that's not great. That's not great. Yeah, that is weird right there. I don't know what to make out of that, but it is yellow, so whatever. I guess we'll just do that. CRV, okay, symbol CRV versus the Derper right there, and let's see how's this one held up. Actually did not hold up as well as I thought that it might, but I'm getting a bounce off the 21 right there. All right, should we redo this chart for the time frames that you're asking about? Perhaps yes, I guess so. Full hour, short term, looking for this one to rally back up at minimum to like 460 to 465 region. I do call this one a bit of a medium term time frame reversal back above about 490. At that point, I do look for it to rally back up towards around this little range highs right here, something like that. And this would just be kind of like your next higher low right here in a series of higher lows on your higher term time frames. 5-day and weekly are still long term good as far as I'm concerned. If you do dump out below your current lows, I'm just looking somewhere down. Wait, no, not that chart. I'm just looking somewhere down around, well, I wouldn't say just looking somewhere down around, but I would be looking somewhere down around about 350 to 360. Until then, I actually still treat this as one of the better charts, to be honest with you. I just think that it's going to be going through a bit more of a consolidation here with short-term upside, and then kind of go through the order of operations. As long as you're below 586, I'm not looking at this one as like any threatening posturing to continue on with the macro rally, of which the macro rally, I still look at this one as likely to stab up towards like $9 to $10 or so, but that is still very, 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 very far away. Curious to see how we're doing over here, because this one's kind of going to judge how long this probably takes. Maybe not a monthly is going to be useful there. Yeah, daily turns up back above about 504, so that is relevant right now. 5-day will turn down below about 475. Weekly, what are we doing? We'll stay up above 450 or so, which you're currently at right now. Full hour is doing what? Freshly up above 410. I'm looking for a short-term rally, and then if it starts to get above, again, about 490, I would look at this as likely your next major low, but still likely trading sideways here for a little bit of time. Hard to get excited about for 4 moves towards new all-time highs, as long as you're below about 585 and a closure below yesterday's low. Low $4 or so. I'm just looking for a move down to like 330 to 350 or so, and then come back to it after that. Kind of a sloppy one right here, as it is a little bit illiquid. I mean, you don't really see too much trading going on, but overall, I still give it the benefit of the doubt, just because it has had a pretty damn good history here, especially for the last month or so. Any price action long term above $3.50 is actually quite good on this one. I mean, that is your prior weekly accumulation range highs, so I do look at that as like a big basing point for the long term, essentially. Nimai says Metis versus Wrapped Ethereum, very short term, like 30-minute. Okay, got some rents to be paying, I guess, but fair enough. All right, Metis, and I remember this one was also one of the more interesting ones. Perhaps looks like it almost made a new high yesterday as well. If you're on a 30-minute, I still have this one charted out as a what's it called, consolidation range. I really can't make much out of the 30-minute though, to be honest with you, just because this chart is so fucking. I mean, look, man, this thing does not trade. This thing does not trade. There's like 6 volume on this current 30-minute dildo. I really don't have a strong opinion on that. My opinion is on the consolidation here, and it's the exact same chart as yesterday. Above, what is it, 6-9 good. Probably looking for a retest of your prior all-time highs towards 8 and then beyond, I'm guessing. If I had to call it right now, I think maybe one more move down around 10th of January lows. That would be like 0.057-ish region, I suppose. But long-term bullish, obviously as long as you're above these range lows here. Sorry, not this one, but this one right here. Daily still generally good. I just think that you're going to be going through a little bit more of a sideways consolidation in that range, while you do see daily BBWP cool off a little bit more. I want to see it come down to like 20 percentile. That's at the point where I think that this one's once again in like a threatening posture for a potential upside breakout. Until then, very short-term time frames, man, I really don't think I have a good idea on it, because this thing really doesn't trade. If I had to call it, if I had to call it maybe one more sweep of the 10th of January lows, so yesterday's lows, and then probably tries another short-term rally from there. But it's really cutting in hairs, especially when, you know, this thing, I mean, look, this in the last 4 hours, this thing's traded 643 volume. Like that's nothing. that's absolutely nothing. I think you could very easily see a move down around yesterday's lows and then try a bounce from there. That's kind of where I'd be a little more interested in. And again, you want to see 4-hour BBWP cool down again as well before you give any legitimate try towards a potential breakout long term. All right, sweet. Okay, so we got that. Yeah, it would be a good time to close the chatties just because I want to make sure that my voice doesn't get too wrecked here. We do have a podcast coming up a little bit later as well. DC Irish says, hey, Krown, what's up, man? Darrow, USD4, and daily. Okay. New one for me, man. Darrow, huh? Yeah, I can pin it. Did you post it? All right, let's see. I'm just waiting for it to pop up, and then we'll get through this one. It takes a few seconds for YouTube to catch up to me, and come on. Where is it? It's annoying. I actually don't see it. There it is. Found. I see it now. All right, beautiful. Let's see. We can replace that message. Okay. And now we can look at Darrow, and you're looking at a 4-hour and daily. Of course you are. Definitely a weak chart. Definitely very shitty chart. Very ugly chart, actually. This one didn't just make new lows, it shattered its prior lows. It remains in a long-term downtrend. It is completely fucking ugly. But do you get a rally if Bitcoin rallies as well? Probably yes. Problem is, your chart looks like this, which is a steaming pile of garbage, which looks more like this. And that is a problem, man. That is a big fucking problem for the long term. I do think that this one will eventually go lower over time, probably more down around about 6.25 to be fair. But short term, does it rally up? Look, if Bitcoin rallies up towards its short-term regions, like let's say 47.5 over the next few days, probably looking for this one to, at best, rally up towards 11.20. There is zero reason, in my opinion, zero fucking reason. We only need one trend line right here. Zero reason at all to be bullish on this thing as long as you're below about $16. Until then, all short-term rallies are just lower highs. And yeah, you probably do rally from here. Really wouldn't be asking too much to get it back up to like 10.25, maybe even 11.80 in like a real desperate situation. But as long as you're below $16, I do look at this as just a very, very ugly and shitty chart that is well that is well on its way for lower prices over time. But short term, more likely to rally. Again, I think $11 would be a bit of a gift. Above there, I'm just looking for this one to probably fall back down. This is not good at all. I mean, this is literally a parabolic blow off top. You've already traded down 70%. So typically speaking, after blowing your top, you do get a pretty impressive bounce after the 70% retracement. So that's, I think, where you're kind of at right now. Maybe the bounce brings you back above $16. If it does, hey, all right, great, bullish again, and you start to talk about, moves back up towards your prior all-time highs. I don't think that's happening anytime soon, and I think that's mostly hopium, and I do think that long-term this one does work its way further south, probably somewhere around the mid-6s, maybe a little bit lower. Ash Roberts says, hello, Krown. What's up, man? QNT USD 4 on daily. Sure. It's Squant. I remember we looked at this one yesterday to finish off the stream, and it looks just as bad as it did yesterday. Again, man, if Bitcoin bounces, everything else is going to bounce alongside of it, but this one's relatively weak, and there's nothing really to be excited about on this one as long as you're below about 207.5. Above 207.5, I do look for this one. This one actually looks kind of similar to Cardano for what it's worth. I would look for it to put in a nice rally above 207.5. If it can close above there, at minimum 240, probably more like $300. But until then, man, one of the weaker charts. Short term, you're probably getting ready for a bounce, as is most of this market. But lower highs all the way below 207. And if you do close on new lows, where is my next target to the downside? Probably somewhere around about $1.35 to $1.40 or so. Not great. Anyways, let's see. Boris Rusky says, are you planning to add more live trades to the TA program? The latest Krown Cross was really helpful for my learning process. Actually, I've actually been collecting a lot more of them. I don't know, I'm glad to hear that it is helpful, because I didn't know how helpful those would be, because it's I can't show the whole trade in one segment, because these trades take if I'm trading an hourly, it's going to take probably like half a day to a day at minimum if it's if it's going to work out. And if I'm trading like a 4 hour, like fucking forget it, man. I'm not going to record like all 48 hours or something, but I can definitely continue to do what I have been doing just because that's like relatively simple. So yeah, in that case, yeah. Anyways, what I'm actually probably going to do, well, maybe I shouldn't make this announcement right now, but I do have like kind of a research program that I'm going to be putting out, kind of in line with that. So that might be relevant to you, but I don't think I should announce it just yet, just because, well, you never fucking know. All right, and then you go on to say, how long does it take on average to get a hold of around options? Man, options are a fucking beast. So he said, I just started to go through the options program, feeling a bit lost. Yeah, you're not alone, man. Been in the TA program for 2 years. Yeah, so most people can understand regular technical analysis and trading a lot more intuitively than options. Options have a really steep learning curve, and then once you kind of get that learning curve, it's actually very simple to employ all of the different strategies, because if you understand spreads, straddles, strangles, and covers, then you pretty much understand everything with options if you can just boil it down to that. But getting to that, and then also understanding like the three-way relationship between like longing options, shorting options, and then also playing them against spot, and then understanding the inverse relationship between calls and puts, that can take a while. So how long does it take on average? I actually don't have good data on that, because very few people even go with the options program, which I totally understand. Like, most people have no interest in doing that, and they probably shouldn't. But I can only give you my own experience and then the experience of a few people that I know with it. So the few people that I know who've gone through it and who've actually came out on the other side successful took about a year. But these guys already had like a base. They had a little bit of a base going on into it. For myself, I would say it took about a year for me to just understand how a call and a put and the regular underline relate to each other. So yeah, man, it is a bit of an uphill battle, man. I've massive respect for anyone in the options program who has the fortitude to go through it, but it's just, I would not rush, man. With the options program though, I'd really just stay within the first section, because everything within the first section is, if you can master that, you've got everything basically. And look, it's going to take time. And the best way with options to really learn, in my experience, is to just make a testnet account on Deribit and or whatever exchange you plan on using. You can also do it with equities as well. And just put it all to test, man, and just see how things go from start to finish. Holding things to expiration, then not doing that. And then you have to both learn American style and European style. So that's going to depend on you, but I'm guessing you're probably going to be doing European style, which is a little bit more simple. Anyways, hopefully that was helpful, man. Let's see. Crypto King says, here is $5 for the girl that oh dear Lord, man. By the way, I live in Oakland, great city. Ask me anything. How's the crime rates going on there, man? There is actually some there's actually some really, really nice areas of Oakland, but man, Richmond, holy shit, don't want to get lost in that place. I'll tell you that. I will tell you that, man. Did I get filled now? No fills. The trading gods hate me today. The trading gods have not blessed me. Mark Marcos says, SparkPoint SPK, please. All right, I can't promise that this thing has a chart. SparkPoint. I'm guessing this is a damn crypto. Okay, maybe try this. I'm not seeing that let me just try to type in SparkPoint. Okay. Oh my God, it's a fucking crypto, for the love of God. All right. What the fuck is this thing? Weekly and monthly. Well, it's terrible. It's pretty. There ain't no monthly on this thing, man. It's been around for less than a year, or just about a year, but it's barely even a weekly. I'd say there's at most maybe a daily. Pretty bad. Pretty fucking awful, man. Pretty fucking terrible. Maybe the worst chart that we've seen today. Maybe it's the one chart today that we can successfully say this. Oh God, indeed. Look, it's probably going to rally here. I mean, this thing's been beat up a shit ton and, could very easily rally up to like 258, whatever the hell that number is. But heavily bearish long-term, nothing at all whatsoever remotely good about this chart as long as you're below 0.0077, just this fucking high right here. Everything below that is just another lower high. Everything below that is another failure. Everything below that is likely to just lead towards lower prices over time. But yeah, do you rally off this region right here? Probably yes. But this is a contraction play right here on daily BBWP. So that suggests that the next move up is likely just going to be another lower high. So 255 is kind of an obvious area. I think at most maybe you get like 400 or so, but you know, it's not really relevant in my opinion to be looking for any major reversals on something that looks like this that has never had an uptrend ever. It's never had an uptrend ever, man. Terrible, just goddamn terrible. Can I get your opinion on chances of reversal reaching all-time high this run? What do you mean this run? Like from this exact price point right here? I don't think that there's going to be any tries towards any prior all-time highs within the next, I would say if everything went absolutely fucking perfectly, like the best situation possible, I think earliest would be late February, early March, and that would be with the maximum hopium applied. With no hopium applied, 6 months to 8 months would be relevant, and even that would be a bit of a stretch, to be honest with you. The reason why I'm basing that off of is over here on the accumulation distribution indicator on the monthly specifically. Anytime that we've reversed from these high levels right here, we've never seen, how do I want to relate this concept? Until we get a positive slope on this, we don't really look for like macro reversals, you know, for like massive, major new trending moves towards new all-time highs, especially whilst correcting down into the red zone. And even from there, once you do get that reversal, it's taken on average, I think, at minimum 6 months and at most like a year. So probably waiting a while, man. I don't think it's happening anytime soon. WBA says, could you look at theta? Sure. You have a good day as well, man, but no time frames given. I don't know where to go with this. All right, theta. Another one that's a little bit more on the weaker side, kind of similar to VET, almost the exact same chart as VET actually. But do we have some regular bullish divergence going on the bottom here? Probably yes. How would you actually confirm this? Daily closure above 420, great number. And at that point, I'd be looking for a quick rally up towards somewhere around $5. Long term, hard chart to love as long as you're below the last rejective high. I think we got that one just about perfectly at $6. You know, maybe you could use a closing base as well, although I wouldn't necessarily trust it. I would be a lot more on the conservative side with the chart that looks like this. I mean, this is just the rolling hills to distribution long term. So short term, yeah, probably has some upside, as I do think most of the things in this market have as well. 4 hour has multiple drives of bullish divergence, probably come off the lows and, you know, could very easily test back up towards 430. Any sort of a 4 hour closure, not above 430, but above 445. And I would extend the run generally significantly, maybe all the way up to $5. But again, that's nowhere near $6 just yet. So one thing before the next, what happens if you close below your current lows, your 4th of December lows, which is 356? Tell him what he's won. He's won the full retrace down to $3. No, below $3, man. Just terrible. Rayland says Flux Luna daily. Just one, sir. We can look at Flux. I'll take the first one there. Looking at daily and weekly on Coin. Flux not bad. Actually, wasn't expecting a chart like this, but I believe we looked at this one the last few days, so maybe I should queue into this one. Let's see. Do you want to see the lower term timeframes? All right. I see what's going on here. We have a bit of a sideways short-term consolidation range, but that is fine. This one is actually implied bullishness. Any sort of a daily closure above 303, and I would be looking for this one to not just retest prior all-time highs, but very likely make new all-time highs. And we could have a few targets in mind here as well. That would be not the 3.25 region, but that would be more long-term at around 4 to 4.5 or so upon validation above that region on a daily. Until then, I'm just looking for a bit more sideways short term. Might stab back down towards 240 or 245. That's fine. I'm just looking for this one to hold sideways here, which is going to be long term good. I only switch around my opinions on this one below 2.25, and I would not necessarily be bearish. I'd just be wanting to come back and go back to the drawing board a little bit more. Until then, I'm actually looking at this one as actually, in fact, one of the more strong ones, just short term, a bit more sideways here. Maybe one more move to the downside. And of course, I'd be actually quite bullish on this one above about, 305, 306, even on a medium or higher term time frame closure. Cool. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, we already got CRB, so good there. Meeker's Adventure says, mind meld with me. All right, man. Flux or CRO? Okay, well, it's like you mind melded with the prior person. We can look at CRO as that one is most relevant right now. Bittrex, I guess, is the one to go to. Yeah, I remember when we looked at this one yesterday. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, I do remember looking at this one yesterday. And those LARP lines definitely not going to be working out. Was this a chart that I was looking at yesterday or not? Because I feel like I would have redone that chart, because that is obviously not going to be correct here. Here's the thing, though. You know, you're not going to be creating any bullish divergence on this one. Jesus, man. No time frames given. 4 hour, again, short-term bouncy here. Any bounce that starts to actually close back above about, well, let's call it about 48 cents in this case. And I would start to look at this one as a bit, yeah, okay, now I remember this one from yesterday. We were saying yesterday that this one is a potential bear trap situation, which will be confirmed with a medium-term time frame closure of about 40, let's call it 49 cents, be a little more conservative there. If that does happen, I'm looking for this one to pop back up well above half a buck again, and the consolidation range continues. Again, when I see something like this, where you kind of hang around your breakdown region for too long, those are the situations where a bear trap is a little bit more likely, but still, it is yet to be confirmed. It will only be confirmed above about 49 cents on a medium or higher term time frame closure. Until then, technically speaking, I should be saying that it's more likely to come down to about just below 40 cents and try for a bounce there. But short term time frames showing many drives of bullish evidence now. I'm going to be generally biased towards one more try. All right, Mr. Michael Ken, we'll do it just for you, sir, just for you. All right, RMRK, 4 hour and daily. Okay. 4 hour looks like a nice little short term reversal. Probably targets back up towards 30.5 to 30.75. That probably doesn't mean too much from a daily. Definitely doesn't mean too much from a daily in this case, but I would be looking for short-term rally here. I would not call this one in like any good pot. Let's just redo this chart because this has got too many things in its face. But I would not call this one, any sort of a daily reversal as long as you're below about 42.5, meaning like, getting excited for new all-time highs or anything like, or not even new all-time highs, but test back up towards your prior highs, or at least $50. But for right now, short-term up, if you do start to clear above those regions, then I'd be looking for this area to hit over here weekly. Not great, definitely not great. 5 day, not great as well. 2 day, not great as well. Short term, showing a little bit of rally potential. Yeah, I do think that this one will test somewhere around in your low 30s. The question is, do you actually start to close above those regions? Well, then you can extend targets a little bit more. Until then, not a big fan of that one. Yeah, a little bit on the weaker side. Just short-term rallies here. Be very, very cautious on it long-term as long as you're below about 42.5. So short-term rally, and then to see if it gets above those critical regions. If it does, great. If it doesn't, send it back to the depths of hell, sir. What's going on over there? Banana Man says, "Sir, can you please take a look at suspicious looking mole on the back of my ear, please?" Holy fuck. Dr. Krown is in the house. Looks to me. BK says Vader versus Ethereum. Yeah, that would be a good one to see as well. Remember, this one was actually showing relative strength yesterday? Yeah, it was. Hey, not bad. Not bad. Recovering exactly on the area that you'd be wanting to see. Let's go down here to a 4 hour. As you did request, and yeah, I'm gonna say the same thing as yesterday, man. Very likely to bounce off this region. We're kind of getting that bounce right now. If you can bring the bounce back above this region right here, what is this, 274,000 beta rolls or whatever the fuck, then I'd be looking for it to retest around your highs and probably go for another extension of this rally. In the same case, I still would refrain from getting bearish on it as long as you're above this area right here, 210 or 210,000 beta rolls, whatever the fuck. And then if that level is taken out on a 4 hour closure, I'd be looking for a move back down towards your prior range lows at about 171,700. Until then, I'm a lot more biased towards a try to the upside here. This one is, funnily enough, one of the more strong ones looking today. In fact, would even have hidden bullish evidence if it does confirm a local low here, which, by the way, would be, yeah, I'd actually still wait for this region right here. But if it does do that, which it's looking like it will have a good chance to do so, you will have another drive of hidden bullish evidence, 3 drives in this case. Very likely looking at moves towards your prior highs and probably beyond. Continue on with the general rally. One of the more strong ones, man, definitely. Vince says Rose USD 1.4 and daily. Okay, Rose. All right, this is another one of the meta derp coins. Okay, and another pretty damn good one as well, man. Pretty damn good one right here. All right, so last we looked at this, we said a move down below 36.5 cent will initiate a correction down to the 618, which is 31.5 cent right here. Also the 55, beautiful. Just get another higher low right there, and this one will have another drive of hidden bullish evidence actually naturally as well. And I would be looking for this one to pop back up around your highs, actually 44 cents. Again, another one of the strong ones today. You can definitely tell that it's strong. I mean, it's this one's already busting out of its short-term range lows, which is beautiful, playing out that bullish evidence right there. Volatility continues to increase. I'd be maybe looking for a short-term pullback somewhere around 41 cents, but short-term pullback ain't the same thing as a reversal. I'm just looking for a higher low after that, maybe kind of around where you're at right now, just around 36 to 38 cents. That's fine. Long-term, good, very, very good. One of the better charts that we've seen today, no doubt about that. No doubt about that. Actually, this one's quite powerful indeed. I'm actually gonna have to write this one down because I mean, these ones are just, they're interesting, man. They're very, very interesting. Anyways, I see St. Luce for his last one, although I do think that I kind of addressed that earlier on in the stream. Hash ribbon theory, yeah. The light green has nothing to do with it, man. And again, we kind of, yeah, I think we already went over that. So all good right there, man. Holy moly, man. All right, 1 hour, 45-minute stream. Beautiful. Actually, really good timing for my what's it called, for my podcast later. Yeah, holy shit, man, just gonna barely limp through this day, man. But it's all good. We got through another stream right here. Another fun day as Bitcoin actually is having these just really, really violent range, which is beautiful for trading. Maybe not the best for more long-term investors, but fair enough. It's still fun nonetheless. We are mostly traders here, so please understand where this kind of community comes from. Anyways, I want to say a major thank you to all of our lovely moderators sticking around. Nikki Page still here. I think Rocky G still here as well. Next Sims will be tonight actually. So I'll release that one tonight, assuming all goes well and no one, dies in between. So that'll be good. And I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone joining in. Been a fun little day, and we'll be back on a little bit later. Jeff, what's up, man? Much love to you as well. Nuke Tech, Almighty Cup, K Reed, Mr. Balrot, and no, man, we already did PYR. We're wrapping this one up. And I think it's time to go home, give a bit of a rest, and that is it, man. All right, is Bitcoin going long or short today? I don't know, man. What fucking time frame are you on? I don't know. 5 minute might be a little bit different than a daily, perhaps. Anyways, sirs and zers, a pleasure as always. I'll be signing off now. Take care, and we'll be back tomorrow.
Write it, code it, name it, tweet it, mine it, stack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it, send it, do it, and receive it. Trade it, buy it, sell it, store it, run it, list it, first rename it. Crypto logic. Pump it, hack it, lose it, dump it, sell it, ditch it, XR, pitch it, copy, paste it, nudge it, test it, build it, try it, bend it, fork it, hype it, pump it, dump it, rinse, repeat, but quick relocate, pause it, list it, send it, burn it, pump it, hack it, quick rename it, take it, take it, lend it, send it, swell it, sell it, click, unclick it, see it, watch it, learn it, know it, post it, tweet it, and repeat it, chart it, long it, short it, hedge it, post prediction, quick erase it, watch it, leave it, watch it, read it, check it, click it, and refresh it, find it, drop it, crack it, lose it, curse it, pay it, to it, pay it, bar it, chart it, hide it, fight it, feel it, seal it, and unlock it, back it, send it, change it, lend it, mine it, find it, how it, test it, praise it, curse it, trash it, hash it, scroll it, troll it, and upgrade it, take it, take it, lend it, send it, swell it, sell it, click, unclick it, see it, watch it, learn it, know it, post it, tweet it, and repeat it, chart it, long it, short it, hedge it, post prediction, quick erase it, watch it, read it, watch it, read it, check it, click it, and refresh it, write it, code it, name it, read it, mine it, hack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it.